Hey, what's happening? It's Chris Redbeard Videos, and I'm bringing you an interview. And we're going to be doing some more interviews here on the channel. We have a bunch lined up already. This first one was friends of mine from Raze the Maze. Maria and Tarik gave me a few minutes with their new collaboration partner, Paul Hanson. The three of them have put out an album in collaboration with a bunch of different musicians called Calliope, and it's under the name Paul Hanson and Raze the Maze. Simple enough, right?
So I got a few questions, yeah, a few questions for a third I just cannot ignore this knocking at the door.
You can go to their Bandcamp page. It's paulhanson1 at bandcamp.com or paulhanson1.bandcamp.com. Go there. The whole album is there for you to listen to, purchase, or whatever. They talk about it, the vinyl that'll be coming out soon, and CDs will be coming out soon. Maria is one of the best singers I've ever heard. Tarik is one of the best bassists I've ever heard. Plus, his lyrics are pretty phenomenal. Also, in this interview, we talk about Tarik's art, so you might be interested in that, in addition to other random things. So sit back, relax, chill, and please check out my interview with Raze the Maze and Paul Hanson talking about their album, Calliope. Here I am. It's me. It's Chris, Redbeard Videos, and we're here with Paul Hanson, who is entered into a musical partnership, if you will, or a collaborative endeavor with two very good friends. Well, not when we say we're very good friends, we're just very good people. They're very good people of mine. They were friends of mine way back when I lived in California, but they're phenomenal human beings and they're great musicians, and they're very familiar to this channel because I think I've done at least one video, if not two, on the Great Maria specifically, and then one specifically on the band. And that is Tarik Ragab and Maria Dickinson of Raze the Maze, formerly of Motar. How are you all doing?
Great. Yeah, man. Like, very excited to be here and talking about this album.
Hell yeah. Paul, you doing good?
Fantastic. Yep.
Excellent. Now, Paul, you're in California, right? And then Mo and Tar are in Oregon. So let's start there. Did you guys actually meet up to record all this, or was this kind of the newfangled technology version of studio recording?
Yes, it is that. Of course, we'd played together before. I think the first time I ever played with one of them was in 2017 at a place called the Ivy Room, kind of epicenter of a lot of stuff. Moria was singing a Beatles tune that was reworked by the Hogan brothers, I believe.
Yeah.
And I just heard about Mozart. My mind was blown, and then I heard more. Then I met Tarik, and I played. Did a little work with them on some of their gigs and some of the records, and yeah, that's how that happened.
Oh, okay. And so how did this particular collaboration come about, though? Like, so I know Mo and Tar, they do their, Maria and Tarik do their own thing, and they have been for a while, since kind of the end of Motar. Did they approach you? Did you approach them? Was it more of like you guys were just kind of shooting the shit, and then all of a sudden it was like, you know what? We should really collaborate on something. So how did this come about?
Well, I was talking to my wife a couple years ago, saying that's up time for me to do another project. He said, and she mentioned, why don't you do something with a vocal group this time? And I thought about, there's this one group I just love to work with, and it was Raze the Maze. And I sent the guys they're willing to do it. It's been a big dream of mine for a long time, because when I started playing this instrument electrically with guitar amps and definitely things, my hero was Jimi Hendrix. And you wouldn't think it looking at the instrument, but ever since I started doing it, I didn't know you couldn't do those kind of things, even though I was kind of starting to do it. And I developed a career as a jazz and fusion guy and everything like that, single umpire, but want to be part of something where, had that impact that incredible vocalist it does. And it's not just the vocals, it's the lyrics, the musical conception these guys have. So I thought that would be really fascinating. Let's do that. And so, would you guys like to do it? I sent them one track, and they came back with an amazing vocal and lyrical arrangement of something we did, and yeah, let's go. That's how it works.
So is this primarily musically written by you, or was that just the first? Okay, so this is primarily a Paul Hanson thing featuring Raze the Maze.
Yeah, but you can't do one. You have to have
That's
both.
fine. No, that's fine. I was just making so I can wrap my head around, what this is exactly. It's not a true. I mean, it's a collaboration, but you wrote the majority of the music. Okay, that's cool. But Tarik obviously wrote the lyrics, right? So,
Yeah.
Tarik, what are some of the topics we touch upon on this? First off, what is the name of this new? Let's get it out there. It's Raze the Maze. What's the name of the new project? The new album?
Calliope.
Calliope. Okay, and so what is our lyrical focus, Tarik? Because you usually come up with some really
Hmm.
deep stuff, brother.
Yeah, thanks, man. I know. And well, all of the lyrics really stem from Paul's titles. So I would take his titles and then he and I would discuss things and sort of and then I'd get inspiration from that. And then we're touching on, themes around the human condition, slice of life kind of stuff, mythology, and how it pertains to the modern times, Hero with a Thousand Faces. So each song has its own little version of humanity packed into it. And in the Motar Raise the Maze style, you have the very, Paul's songs were great because they led to a lot of narrative because there's a lot of melody there to
Sure.
there are a lot of
Absolutely.
verbiage that can be explored, so that's
Whole
how
lot of notes.
a lot of notes and a lot of words.
I
So
mean, Murray, I wouldn't expect anything less from you. I've
Yeah,
often
yeah.
have you ever looked into the Sondheim reference that I dropped on you 10 years ago?
You're gonna have to remind me.
No, I've often referred to you as Sondheim-esque in terms of and Sondheim being, the Broadway musical person, but like the way that you would do the runs that you do, but it's not a run like a Beyonce run. It's more of a jazz stage run. So that's what I always thought of you as like my prog rock Sondheim goddess.
I'll take it. I will take it.
So Paul, what is the instrument you play then? Like you said, this thing here. So explain that to the group, to the audience, so we know what we're looking at here.
But this is a bassoon, and not commonly found in groups with improvisers or rock bands or jazz bands or anything like that. But I didn't put it in here, but there's a little preamp right here. It says there's a microphone that goes in here,
Hmm.
and the pedal board and all that stuff. And I've been playing electric bassoon ever since I put a microphone down my horn in 1980. I put it to a Wallensack reel-to-reel tape recorder with a great preamp, and distorted the crap out of it, and just started flying around. But I'm classically trained. Graduate conservatory of music. I've taught at different places like Ithaca College of Music and some other places. And so you see a saxophone behind me, maybe in the way in the back, but this is a bassoon. But big difference is it's all this key work, and you have 13 thumb keys.
Yeah,
right
it's
here.
insane.
Yeah, and so, but I love the range. I love the sound. I have, we have a huge range on the instrument, so I can play low parts as you hear on the record. Riffs, I can chug along, play ostinato type of stuff. I mean, I remember hearing Discipline, King Crimson, and I didn't really put it on bassoon at the time, but that gave me ideas of how to play, the interlocking type of things that those guys do by playing ostinato as this instrument. It just fits musically where the range of it is, and so that's primary. That's how I'm using it in this situation. So that's bassoon, Bassoon. Yes.
So did you write the music on that instrument?
A lot of it, yes. A lot of it, I'm playing around with stuff like little patterns, little delay patterns, little fast little things. Oh, this kind of a nice sounding ostinato. What can I do with that? Then I transfer that kind of to Logic and maybe find a keyboard part that matches it, so we know where I'm at. A lot of things were there. Some things were not, but just kind of bubbled up. Some of these tunes are, I would say, about 6 or 7 years old, maybe a couple of them. But it's just trying some of the best stuff I've had with the last few years, and along with my musical influences, just felt like it was a time to do something with those ideas. And you got to have you can't just do it by having another single note melody fusion record. I was so it's great, but I want to have
Yeah,
something.
no.
I love
The world
Yeah.
does not need another one of those right away anyway. We can, we can wait a little bit for another one of those. So, Tarik and Mo, it's been a little bit since you guys have done anything in the music realm. 78 AM Dream came out like 3 years ago now, or 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago.
yeah,
And so have you just been like waiting for something to come along? Have you been writing your own stuff? Is this just the beginning of like a whole new Pandora's box that's going to open for you guys, or?
Well, this album's actually been in the works for almost that long.
Oh
It's
wow. Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it has all been remote. Yeah, the songs have come in kind of one at a time,
Sure.
piecemeal. Um, and then I think, the lyrics writing really takes time. Like for
Yeah.
what Tark's doing there, it's not like he can pump those out in a
He's not
week.
he's not he's not pulling out Kiss songs, that's for sure.
No, no, no. Yeah, a lot poring over lyrics, writing while
Yeah.
painting and living room.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, that's been a big project for a while for us. So excited to have this come out, really focus on it for a minute. Um, Although we are kind of like in that zone now too, because we've been done with our part of the album for a while, and so
Right, right.
some new music is a brewing.
So
Yeah.
is that the type of thing that happens? Like that's why I was asking, does one thing beget another? Like is it that kind of thing? Like you were kind of not doing music for a little while and then all of a sudden you wrote a song and you were like, God, that feels good.
Yeah.
Well, we're always doing things in music, but it's like I think this kind of music, because we do a lot of stuff in a lot of
Sure.
areas of music,
Yeah,
but
we're gonna get to
yeah,
that in a second.
this stuff is dense, you know what I mean? So yeah, it is kind of we don't tend to have too many things going on at one time, it seems like in the progressive music realm.
Sure,
I
sure.
I know I have a ton of backlog anyway, always, usually, probably hundreds of tidbits of things I'm working on. And
Mm.
this record has only it served to inspire me to want to do more. So look for more coming up, Chris.
Oh,
Yeah.
look, I listen. I clamor. I almost cried the day I found out Motar was over, and then
Uh,
you guys were like, "Well, don't worry, we're still doing our thing." And Raise the
oh
Maze is close enough to Motar that I can deal.
yeah. All
So
right.
so I have another friend in the business who's he's in a progressive rock band called Jolly, and his name is Anthony Rondino, and he's the bassist, and he's a phenomenal artist, just like you are, Tarik, and you're a
Oh,
bassist too, which is an interesting coincidence, I guess. But
yeah.
you, Mo said something that was interesting that you're like in there painting and writing lyrics and painting. Like, do they
Yeah.
go hand in hand? And sometimes do you find what you're writing lyrically influencing your painting and vice versa?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, music and art to me, there's a synesthesia there that I definitely have always felt, where um, I listen to a lot of, Debussy like when I paint, but during this period I was listening to a lot of the instrumental stuff. And so it's interesting to see how that does kind of, it's probably impossible to know this how the subconscious is working all that, there's in the myriad ways, but yeah, no, I definitely there's definitely a connection.
But yeah, that's what I was like. All of a sudden, like one of the lines in the song is "spiraling faces with hair of fire," and I'm looking at the
Right.
painting behind you, and I'm like, "There it is." As the
No,
as the
totally. Yeah.
whale grows within me. Look, I just wrote half a song. Uh,
Yeah, well, you never know, where sometimes something will just pop into your head too, and
Absolutely. No, I was a former songwriter. I like you. I actually have. I think I have a folder of roughly 12 songs that I wrote 20 years ago that have scratch tracks that have never seen the light of day. And
yeah,
I've been trying to figure out how I can get to a point where I could find time to do that. Just
yeah.
one more thing, just the last, I just turned 48 this weekend and like, um,
Happy
Okay.
belated
thank
birthday.
you, thank you. And I'm just like, clock is ticking. Voice only has so much more time before it's gonna just be not what it used to be. Um, so have you guys played any of this new stuff live yet?
No,
Okay,
but so we're in Ashland, Oregon. It's about a 5-hour drive from the Bay Area where
Okay.
Paul is, where we
it's
used
not
to
so
live.
bad. Not so
Yeah,
bad.
not bad at all. No, definitely a drive. And so Paul is actually coming up here the last weekend of October, so we can kind of start, figuring out how to play some of the stuff live exactly. And then Tark's got a gig booked that night that Paul's here, and actually just now Paul's gonna open up that show. So it's gonna be fun. Maybe we'll get to do one of those things kind of off the cuff. But yeah, we're prepping in order to do some gigs together down for sure in the Bay and down in Los Angeles. Looks like we'll get something going down there. A couple of the drummers are down in LA that played on this record.
I was gonna
Um,
say, so
yeah.
who's gonna make, like, do you have any ideas on who's gonna make up this band live yet or no?
Oh my gosh. Well, the people who played on the record were my old boss, Billy Cobham, played on the record. I don't
Billy
know.
Cobham?
Yes,
Like the Billy
yeah,
Cobham?
yes, the
Me,
Billy
Billy
Oh,
Cobham.
wow. Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm not sure we'll get a chance to go to play with in Switzerland, but we'll see. Probably not. But a wonderful drummer named Gene Coy, who plays with Hiromi's down there. Also, Long Zhao, a great drummer who's also on the first couple tracks. He's down there. He played with Richard Henshaw, I believe it is, who's the guitar player in the group Hawken, which is out there.
Oh
So he's,
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
oh, yeah. And so there's been talk about it. We're just trying to make it happen. We're at that phase right now where I think instead of just thinking about it, let's just go do it and try to work it out. When you actually have something you have to prepare for, then you end up doing it. So that's kind of, we're about at the tip where we're going to go that direction. But yeah, so that was it. And I would think someone like Ruslan Serrata or some keyboard players I know of down there. That will be probably the LA situation down there. And in the Bay, I probably would just, I'm sure we just use the band that plays with Raze the Maze normally, which is, guitar players like Brian Shu. I'm not sure, people like that. Terry Branham on drums.
Yeah.
But we're at the spot where now we're, really, how are we going to do all this stuff live? Which has always fascinated me about Motar is when they come, they're very prepared with their things. And it's like, God, you guys really, you get this together. It's because you've not been used to playing progressive music a lot. I mean, I come from more of a fusion background. But I'm usually a guy with the charts. Give me the headphones, I'll listen to the chart, and go do my best, want to rehearse and go for it.
Sure.
But you guys have from the ground up, everything's memorized. That's cool. I want to be like that too with this stuff, and I know I have got my parts, but yeah. So that's kind of where we're at with it.
Yeah, when you play the style of music that Raise the Maze and or Motar play,
Yeah.
I think you kind of have to be rehearsed. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different than being like an improv jazz, even though they're in kind of the jazz fusion realm.
Yeah.
It's not. I
Yeah.
think that's the thing
Yeah,
about
they-
jazz fusion that differentiates it from regular jazz is that it is rehearsed and it is planned mostly. So
Oh, it is. It's different things. Like when playing with Billy, we'd always have rehearsal, and there's lots of charts, a lot of notes in his music, a lot of other people's music. But it's a different focus when it's like I don't know, band thing where, I mean, the internal workings and clockwork of everything fitting together is so amazing when you hear it. It's like, wow, especially their music. And so, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely looking for that.
yeah, absolutely. It's we're talking with Maria Dickinson, Tarik Ragab, and Paul Hanson. They are of the Paul Hanson plus Raise the Maze project, new album Calliope. Now, where is this available to people right now?
Right now on my Bandcamp, Paul Hanson, I guess it's, what's it called? The link, let me just check the link here. It's Paul Hanson 1 with the O. So it's Paul Hanson, you have it with the E, but it's actually O-N. paulhanson1.bandcamp.com. You go right there, you see our record. And it's, of course, on, all the streaming services.
It is. Okay. Is it under Paul Hanson or is it under Raise the Maze or both?
Paul Hanson and Raze the Maze.
Okay, so you can put either in and you'll find it. Okay, that's great. Is there a vinyl pressing or any kind of pressing in the works for this as it was for 7 AM Dream or?
Yes, there is. It's coming. Keeps seeming to be later and later, but it should be late November. Unfortunately, we should be a little earlier. CDs are coming next week, and I'll be taking a bunch up to Oregon. When I go up there, and so that's happened. We're really lucky to have. It's just got better and better. So let's just do this. Let's put us on vinyl. I think it's a good idea because
Yeah.
it just has a certain vibe to it. So
Well, not just that. It's from what I understand, it's how artists are making money now. Is they're printing their vinyl independently and selling it, and otherwise, you're not getting anything from streaming, and you're not, and CDs are, I don't know, they're in the weeds. They're the next big thing to come back, with vinyl as it were. So, what?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what, guys?
That would be cool.
right?
They're so much cheaper to press.
And
Yeah.
they're easier, and they're easier to play, they're easier to
Yeah.
listen to, they're easier to transport. I mean, yeah, everything about them is easier. The vinyl
Yeah.
thing is fun and all, and I love the visual of it. Like especially like 7 a.m. Dream is such a
Oh
beautiful
yeah.
vinyl. Like the
Yes.
cover of the album alone is just worth having, in my opinion. So
Sure.
when you guys decide to get together and play live, is this going to be, are we just going to play Calliope stuff, or are we going to incorporate other Raze the Maze stuff? And then are we going to incorporate Paul Hanson and his unique instrument into the old Raze the Maze stuff, maybe even some Motar stuff or anything like that?
Speaking for myself, I would always, if we're playing with Raze the Maze, I'd love to do some of their stuff because they got great music. And they've incorporated me into a couple of their tunes I've already done, since we've done some things together. And I feel, outside of that, I feel totally able to represent myself just fine, just being in the band and being able to be like that. And then, with my music, I wouldn't feel a need to do any instrumentals. I've done so much of that, I've already done that.
Well, when you have a talent like Mariah Dickinson, you don't waste that. You just don't. I've often said it on multiple occasions, and I don't want to shine her apple too much because I can see she's about as red as can be. But she could sing me to sleep. Let's just put it that way. Like it's wonderful. So anyway,
It's a funny thing because some of the lines on this record, now that I'm really hearing it, I never thought about what they're actually like for a singer to actually sing this. My Jesus Christ, this is a lot. This is like, some, contemporary music, opera soloist with a lot of soul and groove. Like, whoa, but it's still songs to me. It's still songs, it feels that way to me.
Yep.
But I can see now this, it's quite an amazing, job she did.
As a singer, I glommed onto her quick. I was just like, I saw them first live. Was the first time I ever heard her, and that was impressive to me. Like that was in its own right. I was like, wow, like that's crazy. So you were gonna say, Mo?
Oh, Paul's, similar to Motown Raze the Maze. These melodies are wild, they're all over the place and huge ranges and individual lines and a lot of fast things, a lot of notes. And I definitely had to, it was good. It was kind of good to have to do it at home, like a home recording situation,
Sure.
because I just needed to sit and
That's
figure
it.
out. I would get times so I'd look at Tarik. I was like, I don't know. I might have to go to Paul back to Paul with this one and be like, I think we got to change this melody a little bit. And then my ego would get in the way, and I'm like, no, I got this. And then
I knew you
can't.
could. You could.
Yeah, and then and then worked it out and worked it out. But those are such fun challenges in music to be handed a line and be like, I'm not quite sure how to accomplish this, because he is writing them on bassoon. They weren't like not singing to him and be like, okay, this is wild, but got through it. And actually, it's so fun as a musician. I'm sure you all know, so fun and so satisfying to work on a piece of music when you start thinking, I don't know how I'm going to accomplish this, if I will accomplish this. And then by the end, feeling like, oh, I got this. Like I can fly through this. This is memorized. I will never forget this in my whole life. Like just the whole thing is just now built into my DNA. And so
That's awesome.
That's like such a fun experience in life to have.
Yeah, absolutely. No, without question. And that's, I think that's why it's half a shame, you know what I mean, that you guys don't make a full living on Raze the Maze stuff. Wouldn't that be great? But at the same time, I think if you did, you might have pressure to like not enjoy it or be able to really be as creatively diverse and adventurous as you are. There's a time limit, or when the bills are due and there's a label up your ass or whatever it is, right? So that's like the different type of experience in a 2024 band versus like a 1984 band or a 1994 band. I think that's incredible. I think that's super cool to hear.
I care more about just the music and integrity of music than needing to make money off of it. You know what I mean? Like we can make money. We can do things and we can do other things.
Sure.
But yeah, the musical integrity ends up getting to be what's at the top of the pillar of importance, which is like a blessing. It's really good.
But I would take some money though.
Yeah, I would take it out of bed. Yeah. And money to pay.
I think we all would, man. That's what I'm
Yeah.
angling for. Just a little bit here.
Let's just
So,
split the difference on that.
now, speaking of doing other things to make money, Tarik, you have quite the little bit of an art enterprise happening for you there. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that. I didn't know you as an artist, even though I saw that you did the covers to the Motar album, the t-shirts, you even made me a logo. So like I've seen that you have the ability, but now all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm an artist now. Poof. How did that
Yeah.
come about? Is it as scary as putting music out? Like, is it as raw a nerve as putting music out? Like what, like just go down your art for a little bit here for a minute.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. A
Oh,
lot
by
of
the way, I'm sorry to interrupt. That painting behind Mo and Tarik, that is a Tarik original right there. And that's also the cover of 7 a.m. Dream, I believe, correct?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
the original.
the
Um,
original, the OG.
that's
OG.
the original, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just maybe it was partly from the pandemic and then stuff like that that changed things a lot. And but a few years back, I started on this series that started incorporating like more like pop art and not pop art, but what they call pop surrealism. So taking like I don't know, like cartoons and comic book stuff, but incorporating it into a surrealistic sort of environment. And I just sort of there's something clicked in there that sort of made me feel like, okay, this is something I could actually, as an original artist do and make some money and, maybe have it be, you know, do you have something? You're looking at me like, oh, I'm sorry.
I do, but I'm listening.
No,
She's
no, no.
fascinated by what you're saying.
No.
Hey, because yeah, Tarik's been a visual artist forever,
Yeah.
back in the whatever, I don't know, what decades, but used to be the in-house artist at Tower Records doing the album replications.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
For
And then
years.
he was airbrush artist doing custom motorcycle art for a
Yeah.
long time and a medical illustration artist
Yeah.
and
That'll
real estate, just
it's
reproductions and
It's similar.
murals.
Art is similar to music in that you wear a lot of hats, especially if you want to be a professional, you do a lot of illustrative stuff, a lot of design work, whatever, album covers. And so, but yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I have a show up right now at this place called Art Bop Beer Co. in Talent. So one town away from us here in Ashland. And yeah, it's been fun to as a pursuit. Maybe partly why too you haven't heard as much musical output.
Sure.
Because I've been sort of more focused on that. But
Makes sense. It's
but
your current
your
thing,
your
right?
question as in terms of putting yourself out there, I'd say they're very similar in that, you're definitely it's a vulnerable space, and like any art, but I think if it weren't, you probably aren't doing it right. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. I
Yeah.
agree. I totally agree. And so you have like this series, and a lot of your art looks similar, but like, do you plan on venturing away from that particular style? Like, is there a new series coming that's going to look a little bit different or vastly different? She's looking over to the side. I know that there's something
Funny you should say that. No.
right off camera.
No, actually, just last night I brought over a new one to the space to put up that is definitely a departure from this particular. I mean, it's the similar, but I'm using kind of more stark like background, black backgrounds and stuff. So the colors are sort of popping a little bit more, and I'm really excited about it. So it just, it's the kind of thing that evolves,
Sure.
and sort of morphs into other things over time.
And we do have this whole vision of taking this one piece Tarek did recently that's very dense with content. It looks like, I don't know, it's very dense with content. If you go to his Instagram, Tarik Ragab art, you can see it. But taking that and then putting it on the website and actually making like a music related game out of it, like
Mm,
having sounds that would go with each character and having it kind of be an interactive, like
Mhm.
combining the two
that could be hella
worlds.
cool. Definitely be
Yeah.
very cool. So where do we find, she had mentioned the IG, but where else can we find, can we purchase your art? Where can we find your stuff? Purchase,
Yeah,
look at,
we
whatever.
have tarikragab.com, which is surprising because it's a very common name, but we got that
Really?
domain.
That is a
Yeah,
Yeah.
common name?
in Egypt it is. Yeah.
Oh,
Well, the Middle East, yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty common.
So yeah, tarikragab.com. That's where all his art is.
Yeah.
do you have family in Egypt?
I do. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, my best goes out to them with everything that's going on over there. I know it's not affecting Egypt right now, but you just never know. So I don't want to get political or anything. I'm just saying I know you're inherently political. It's just read your
Yeah.
lyrics a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
We don't
Welcome the solar flare seems more and more
Yeah, yeah.
real every goddamn day. So
That's what I kept saying. I was like, I didn't want the lyrics to come true. Now,
Welcome to Solar Flares is a song on a Motar album, Entropy of the Century, for the record, for those who are looking, gonna go look for that one. So let's just wrap up here. So what is the general plan here? So you say that there's a gig for Paul and Tarik. That's kind of like a solo gig. Like what? So what is this? Like you said at the end of October, Paul's coming up to you to do a gig, or?
It's actually coming up to do rehearsal. We're trying to figure out how to play
Oh,
all.
okay.
So we're gonna just run through things ourselves, maybe with not to play with in a live show, but just for the rehearsals, like a backing track of a keyboard part or something like that. Just see how we get through the tunes and how it's like to actually play them live with all our different parts and stuff like that. So that was the whole reason for me coming up, and it just so happens that there's a talent show on Talent, and I really like that.
Based on talent, incredible.
yeah.
You
And,
guys
and
have,
so-
I have a ton of it right here on this screen. So there you go.
Yeah, so that's I'm coming up, and it just happens to do that. I often do, especially when I've played with different places. I often get invited or do little solo bassoon tours where I bring my looper and stuff like that, and I play compositions and things. So I'll do some of that for 30 minutes, and also play with Tarik and some things with the band he's playing with. And if we're lucky, maybe we'll do something together that we can not rehearse. But I don't know how you do that. We'll see. I'm open for whatever comes next, and the plan is to start breaking ice, putting it together, and booking gigs and things like that. And I'm gonna try to work with radio people to get the record out a little bit more. As it's fun to have something that you really like in terms of artistically. It's coming out. It's like, wow, this is really hitting even better than I expected it to be. It's like, whoa. And so the one time in my life I can kind of do something like this, where a certain time and place where, just try to get it out there, with a radio promoter or, PR persons, whatever. And I know the big thing is you want to be in front of people and make actual live music happen. And so we're looking ways to do that. I'm also, one of the pieces, another tangent of this is that I did a self-written bassoon concerto called Transitions with the Symphony Parnassus down here in San Francisco. It just so happens to be the third movement of that is the second tune on the record, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
Arrangement, yeah. So I would like to arrange and approach some orchestras of doing stuff with Motar,
Wow.
with Raze the Maze.
Same.
I mean, it's Mo and Tar,
Yeah.
with Raze the Maze and myself, because I think everything on this record, I wouldn't normally say this, but most of the tunes on this, if not all, they're just good songs. Even though they're difficult and everything, they're just good songs that we're working many different ways of doing them. And there's something about bringing an instrument like this, especially with my electronics, back into the concert hall. It just kind of ties things together in our culture, bizarrely as it is, because you're seeing in classical music a lot of, actual American classical music starting coming back into rock and jazz and everything like that. So, that's kind of what I would like to do. I have some things on the, just want to put it all down and go for it with a project on that scope. So
It's Paul Hanson, Raze the Maze. The album is called Calliope. You can find it on Paul Hanson's Bandcamp. Is there anywhere else where we can see it, or is that the main place?
Spotify, Apple Music, all the places.
All the places.
YouTube, you go to YouTube. Also, it's October. It's the month. Track 3 is called Seance, and it is
Hell yeah.
my favorite track on the album, I think. I don't know. That changes. Right now it is. And Paul is working on a really cool video for
Awesome.
Seance. That'll be coming out this month in the spirit of All Hallows Eve.
Give me all the pertinent information on Raze the Maze. Where do we find Raze the Maze?
but yeah, I have an Instagram page. It is called Paul Bassoon. Just
Okay.
2 words, Paul, tied together. And then there's a Raze the Maze page also. We're kind of connected at the hip on these things.
Mhm.
And one one of us posts something, another person shares it or posts it, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's kind of where you find out about a lot of that stuff. That's the one I do like, the Instagram. I have a TikTok-y account. I can't really understand TikTok, but I'm on there too. So
Ticky tock.
The tickety tack, talkity talk. Also, Paul's really posting a lot of the videos and things from his page. We're tagging off of that. So, Paul's YouTube channel, it's at Jazz Bassoon Paul, at Jazz Bassoon Paul on YouTube, and that's where he puts out a lot of content. That's pretty awesome. But that's where these videos are showing up, and of course, all over social media. And Bandcamp's great. I don't know if this is probably not going out today. Today is Bandcamp Friday, but
Yeah, no, it's not going out today, but it was Bandcamp Friday when we recorded this, so
way
it was
back
in the
when.
spirit of that. It'll probably go out in a few days, so
Yeah, and Bandcamp's great because that's where you can financially support the artists the most. Even outside of Bandcamp Friday, that's where the split goes the most to the artists versus some of the streaming platforms, and that's where you get the CD, where you get the vinyl, and
absolutely. So the Bandcamp, Paul Hanson 1, that's Hanson with an O at the end, Hanson 1. Make sure and it'll be in the description, everybody. So it'll be in the video description.
it's a great little community in the progressive music community. I'm finding it's really nice people, very passionate, and
I don't know what boards you're on, but lead me to them.
yeah. What's
The
that?
the Prog musician community is fine. The Prog fan community is a little iffy sometimes.
I'm a newbie to that.
We're generally the cork sniffers of the group, and we will. I mean, I don't engage in this anymore, but I used to. Just find your way to a Dream Theater board for a second, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. That's all. Or Tool, for that matter. Tool's another band where their fan base is toxic as hell. So, but anyway, yes, you're right.
I call it passionate, Chris. That's what I. And Prog fans tend to be very passionate and loyal. So,
it goes like this. If you have a hardcore Prog fan and they like your stuff's good. That's generally how it always goes. That's how I've always seen it. If a Prog fan, a pure on, full on, like Born in the Wool Genesis King Crimson fan loves your stuff, then you have some deep shit. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So
that's legit. Mm-hmm.
I mean, much as Rush is my favorite band in the whole wide world, but you can't trust a Rush fan because sometimes Rush fans are just regular rock fans too. So sometimes you can't trust them. They're 50% of the time they're right on. 50% of the time they're also Ted Nugent fans. You need to be kind of aware of that. So.
a lot of crossover there.
Yeah,
Well,
it's the classic rock crossover.
Mm-hmm.
I just we super appreciate you doing this and everything you do
Always
for the arts.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much.
It's not even just because I love you two as humans, and now Paul's pretty cool too. I haven't had a chance to meet him yet, but it's not even because I love you two as humans, but like, my God, the music is great. If the music wasn't great, then I would have had you on a while ago, and that would have been the end of it. I would have been like, all right, I did my piece as friend. I'm moving on. I listen to your stuff to this very day. So, and that's not just shining your apple. That's legit. Like, you can at any given moment walk in my house and hear Motar or Raze the Maze in my house. So. I love the music. I love you guys, and I will always be a huge champion of your stuff. So
Amazing. Thanks so much, Chris.
Yes.
all right. Let's please subscribe to the channel, like this video. You gotta like the video, so it pushes it into the algorithm. And if you want to make a comment, that's even better. If there's something you want to say, hey, I really dig Raze the Maze, or I really like this interview, or that dude's art is great, or whatever it is, just throw it in the comments. Also, social media. Facebook, Redbeard Videos. TikTok, Redbeard Videos. IG, Redbeard Videos. These are the best places to reach me. I'm also on Threads. You can check me out there. Redbeard Videos also there. Thank you so much for being here. Please check out more interviews. You can also venture over to my Progtology 101 page, where I have a history of videos that I will be popping in there hopefully every week or every once in a while, but it'll definitely be at least once a week, I hope, where we will be dropping old interviews from the past with artists like Tesseract, Periphery, Dillinger Escape Plan, Devin Townsend, Gojira, old school interviews there. So I'm going to try and clean them up so they're timely, so they're not stuck in the past, and it still gives you interesting information and conversational tidbits. And go check that out, Progtology 101. You can also check out my other channel, The Sports Riot, which is a sports-based channel. Tends to be more on the entertaining side. We don't do the breakdown analysis, week-to-week, game-to-game type of thing. But I may hop on there and do a live stream while I'm watching a game. So you never know what's going to happen. You got to go check it out. So thank you for being here with me, as I so enjoy being here with you as always. And we will talk to you soon. Bye.